This week, business is booming at a notorious Durban drug house.
It's a 24-hour operation, 7 days a week. They do not stop.
I don't know what the police are doing. I don't know whether the police are getting bought by the drugs.
And bodies are piling up.
After that day, we found it dead in the next morning.
They're screaming for their lives, or they're screaming and crying. You know, they're being assaulted or whatever.
Apparently, she was screaming for help.
The neighbor boy came into my mother-in-law's lounge and poked him with a knife, right in his heart.
This is Checkpoint, and I'm in Nkepile Mabuse. More and more Durban suburbs are being infiltrated by drug lords who dish out drugs on credit to young girls with the aim of getting them addicted. Once in drug debt, they are often pushed into prostitution. Julie Lawrence and Terence Pillay and Ashley Market report from Phoenix, where drug houses operate out in the open.
Phoenix, northwest of Durban in KwaZulu-Natal, was established as an Indian township in 1976. Like many of apartheid's former group areas, a sense of despair pervades the place. Crime, drugs and prostitution are common here. Radio journalist and community activist Jayashree Parasuraman grew up in Phoenix in the 80s. For her, it used to be a happier and safer place than it is now.
Oh, I've got such fond childhood memories of back in the day, from riding my BMX on the road to skateboarding to playing with all the neighbors here, hide and seek and all our favorite games. And it was such a united community. Now it's very scary when you just have to drive into the road, because you have to be very wary of who's around, who's watching you, even when you get off your car to come down to the house door.
These days, drug houses are the norm. Even children who act as runners can be seen outside waiting for deliveries.
In the last decade or over a decade, it's gotten to such a point where people are very bravely doing it in the open. And everybody knows, and it's become an accepted norm in society. It's so normal to see drug addicts around. It's so normal to see them sell drugs as well. And everybody knows where a drug dealer lives, including the drug lords, you know, the big time lords. You just know where to find them. You know them by name. You know their faces, but nobody does anything about that.
It's an open secret.
Yeah, it's an open secret.
She says the drug lords are brutal and a law unto themselves.
They are extremely dangerous. From what I've known, they've murdered people. There's been bodies that have been found in Phoenix, unknown as to who, or the cases were just thrown out of court, but all drug-related incidents.
In February 2016, the mutilated body of 29-year-old Chantel Pillay was found in a stormwater drain near Ruckland Road, a seedy part of Phoenix.
It broke my heart, that story. I don't know her personally, but I read about it. And I knew of her being involved in drugs as well as prostituting. But she was very young. And to think that she lost her life like that was absolutely atrocious. It was sad. It was sad for me to read that article about her.
Chantel Pillay's mother, Julie, says her daughter was hooked on sugars, a heroin derivative, sometimes called snow. She was also a sex worker.
One of the police is from police station, Marcus, Tamil Marcus. He came down and he said to me and my husband, at that time my husband was living, he came and said to us, you know what, Chantel is doing prostitution. Then we said, no, we don't believe that.
The discovery of Chantel's body not far from a known drug dealer's den in Phoenix only made local news at the time. Unlike the disappearance of Siam Lee, a 20-year-old abducted from a suburban brothel in Durban. Then private investigators got involved and a suspect was arrested.
We were specifically looking for Siam at the time. Once we started going into the areas like Point, Pickering, the beachfront, etc., the investigation led to other things. Okay, and we started interviewing the girls. We started interviewing some of the pimps. We had to be very careful because we didn't want to be a threat to them because we were looking for Siam. Our primary task at that stage was to try and find Siam while she was still alive.
Siam's badly burnt body was found in the KwaZulu-Natal Midlands. A former client of hers was soon arrested and charged for her murder. But nobody cared about Chantal, it seems, except her mother.
I don't know what the police are doing. I don't know whether the police are getting bought by the drugs. You know what I'm saying?
Jayashree agrees that the police should do more. She says underage sex work is rife here.
The police see them, drive past them. The police definitely know about it because they see young prostitutes, young as 14 and 15-year-olds. I've even spoken to 11-year-olds that were on the street at night at 2 a.m. And police are going past knowing that they are prostituting. You can see that there's something wrong with these young girls because you know that they're not in their right frame of mind. They are definitely on some kind of substance, be it alcohol or drugs. And they are on the streets wearing very little clothing. And you could see that what they're doing there is advertising for a client. Yeah, they are the same streets that I used to play on. And now they are the same streets that I can't walk on. I literally cannot walk on the street alone. I cannot go anywhere here, leave alone cycle, play, walk, skateboard, any of the things that I used to do when I was younger. I wouldn't consider it now.
When we return, more deaths at the barnyard.
Bodies were found and the cause of death was mauled by dogs. It just didn't make sense.
Kevin have never killed a person.
He's not a killer.
He's not a killer.
Just selling.